Arc Raiders is a problem. Obviously, I've made it very clear on Arc Raiders. I'm happy for the game's success. I love that my friends are having a blast with it. It's not my sort of game, but there's been controversy over it. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Man, this story has gotten out of control. Arc Raiders, I think the sheer level of quality.
If I was going to wager a guess about what this video is going to be about, because he says the story's gotten out of control, are we talking about the awful 2 out of 10 review it got because, oh no, it dares to use AI? Like, is that what we're doing here? If I had to wager a guess, that's what we're doing here.
Here just backhanded the entire live service space. It makes so many live service games look so cheap by comparison and shows just how little effort these people put in. I've seen so many people already crying out for this game to be game of the year, trying to make it a front runner, and I think these guys are waking up. I think they're realizing.
No. Yeah, full stop, no. I am glad people are enjoying Arc Raiders. I'm glad it's a success. Again, man, I see Atreus and Hypno and Kada and all of them in the group chat fawning over this game. Good. I like when my friends and when the gaming community at large has shit they can enjoy. Arc Raiders ain't no goddamn game of the year. No live action multiplayer game should ever be fucking game of the year. Look, I'm not even convinced that Expedition 33 is going to win, even though it should. But for the love of Christ, can't be Arc Raiders. Simple, yeah, exactly, Hugo. Simple multiplayer is not Game of the Year material, right? When Breath of the Wild came out, it won Game of the Year. Why? Because Breath of the Wild is a generational fucking game. You can love it or hate it. It's very divisive amongst the Zelda fan base, and I get it. I'm pretty mixed on it because I'm a huge Zelda fan. But you can't deny generational fucking impact of Breath of the Wild. That was a Game of the Year. Arc Raiders? Arc Raiders, like, yeah, bro, you multiplayer-only slobs are fucking coping.
I see. Wait a minute. This is what we could get versus what we've been given? No wonder these guys wanted to win over Expedition 33. In their eyes, this is their Expedition 33. You're not going to win, by the way. You need to go play that game, but I'm stunned. Both literally by wasps in the game, but also figuratively by just how insane of an experience they've delivered and the kind of game that they've made here. Permanent battle passes, earnable in-game currency. It has this perfect blend of hardcore and casual. They mix the best parts of Helldivers 2 and Escape from Tarkov. The way this game plays, the way it looks, the way it sounds, the way it performs. You're always bouncing between whether you can trust someone or no one at all, and you just can't put this game down. But a game this good, somebody's got to find something wrong with it. And of course, games media is out here and they're on the case. And
it is. So someone's got to find something wrong with it. It is going to be over that dumbass article. Let's go. Because I was going to do a video on this article anyway. Whatever. If Legendary decides to talk about it and I can just react to it, makes my job way easier.
They have a problem with the fact that this game uses generative AI, even though the...
Cope. Who gives a fuck? Sorry, journos. I know you're a bit upsetty spaghetti because the AI is taking your gerbs. You weren't particularly good at writing anyway. Sorry, how's all the mass layoffs going at, Kotaku and Polygon and Eurogamer and The Gamer and Game Rant and insert everything? You're all getting replaced by AI. Why? Because you're fucking hack journalists. AI, whether you like it or not, is the future, so you may as well embrace it and figure out how to work alongside it rather than thinking you can beat it, because you can't.
Generative AI that they use was voice actors that they paid to be able to use them for the... But that doesn't really matter to these guys. No, instead, what they're doing is they're leveraging their influence over the industry, trying to make these developers submit to their moral standards. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the monumental success of Arc Raiders to the absolute horror of games media. We're going to talk about my experience playing the game and what I think this game is going to do to the live service space. Man, what a game. But before that, a word from today's sponsor. As you guys might know, I've been hitting the gym 6 months in and not a day wasted, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without today's sponsor, Raycon. I use these every single...
All right, you guys know the deal. You know the dealio, you know the drill. We let the ad reads play out. If we're going to steal their content, we may as well at least give them the ad read.
Single day when I go to the gym, and they're one of the very few earbuds that actually fit in my ears and don't fall out mid-workout. They've got active noise cancellation so I can zone in, or awareness mode so when I'm outside I can actually hear what's...
This fucking guy. I respect legendary slot drops, but how you gonna be working out at Planet Fitness? Yo, that's weak sauce, bro.
Going on around me, multi-point connectivity to make it easier to swap out between my phone and my laptop without missing a beat. Battery life 30...
Yeah, dude, Legendary Slot, I strip, which is funny because I've only ever seen a couple of videos by him. I like the guy fine, but Legendary Slot was a pretty good accidental Freudian slip there.
2 hours with the case. Quick charge, 10 minutes will give you 90 minutes of playtime, and I've got mine in the Purple Clouds case showing off my more sensitive side. Raycon's quality rivals big audio brands, but at half the price. Over 3 million people are already in love with them, and with a 30-day happiness guarantee, there's no risk in trying them out. So if you're looking for a fresh start or maybe looking for gifts for this holiday season, go to buyraycon.com and use my code LEGENDARY.
I would love to have a conversation with him. Again, I've only seen a handful of his videos. I've only recently gotten into to his content. So, yeah, I would love to have a conversation with him, but I know nothing about him beyond the videos I've watched where he's usually had some pretty good takes.
Drops at checkout to get 30% off site-wide for their Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Man, this game's success is just crazy to me. Arc Raiders, developed by Embark Studios, a team of around 400 developers with only about 80 of them actually dedicated to working on the game, launched to a peak of over 350,000 concurrent players on Steam in its first week. And since then, the game has only continued to grow.
I did not think it would do those numbers, by the way. I didn't think the game would flop. I didn't think the game would flop by any means. I didn't think it would be those kind of numbers, because let's be real. The marketing for Arc Raiders was super fucking generic. Like, it was. And frankly, most of the player base that I've seen are also pretty fucking generic. But that's normies, so that's fine. That's A-okay. I ain't knocking it for that. There was nothing about Arc Raiders as it was marketed before coming out that made me think, wow, this is a must-play.
It's now reached a new peak of over 460,000 players. According to Analea Analytics, it's already sold over 2.5 million copies, hit over 1 million daily active users, and generated more than $100 million in revenue. It is the highest rated multiplayer shooter of all time on OpenCritic. Oh, wait, no, it was the highest rated multiplayer shooter of all time until Eurogamer decided to tank it with a 4 out of 10, purely because the game uses AI-generated voiceovers. That single review...
And this is why these reviewers are fucking worthless. Like first of all, let's say that there's some actual criticism there. Let's say for whatever reason, there was legitimate criticism behind AI voicing, which, by the way, the voice actors were paid for and were compensated for, but that's neither here nor there. Let's say there's legitimate criticism behind that. Is that enough to knock a game down 3 stars? You could maybe make an argument for 1 star. You can maybe make an argument, hey, this would be a 5-star game, but because of the generative AI, we're knocking it down to 4. All right. For it to lose 3 stars for this one minuscule issue that really isn't even an issue, by the way, is delusional levels of cope.
Dropped their score from a 94 to an 88 overnight, complete with a line that reads, "For Arc Raiders to ride the wave of human sociability all the way to the bank while also being so contemptuous of the thing that makes us social animals in its own workflow demonstrates a lack of artistic integrity that I find impossible to ignore."
The pseudo-intellectualism in this sorry excuse for a review is mind-blowing. Like, first of all, to ride the wave of human sociability, all that, we're not being so. We're still stuck in our goddamn bedrooms and in our basements and shit with the lights turned off, talking into fucking microphones, okay? You want sociability, go to the fucking library, go to the bar, go to the park, some sort of local gathering spot. That's sociability. This is still just fucking nerds who are antisocial by nature, 9 times out of 10, playing fucking video games.
Man, I bet this guy is great at parties. Guys, I am so sick of this performative moralism. Every single time a game uses AI, these people act like it's a moral emergency. We're talking about NPCs with a few throwaway lines of dialogue that don't affect the game in a meaningful way. And on top of that, these voices came from real actors. Embark actually paid voice talent to train their model. Actual professionals were compensated for their work, but Eurogamer conveniently just glossed over that part because acknowledging it would ruin their little outrage narrative. Now, I'm going to pose a little moral quandary for these people. The text-to-speech model that they hate so much in Arc Raiders is for accessibility and inclusivity, allowing
Homie coming with the receipts. These are the same fucking fake gamers that praised arachnophobia mode. Oh, you're afraid of spiders? Well, you can turn them off now. Like, accessibility is important. If you don't agree with it, you're an ableist. So, this is accessibility. Is there a problem? It's fucking AI! Y'all realize that the NPCs that you fight in video games are effectively AI.
Players to modulate their voices if they don't feel comfortable using their own voice. So, do you hate AI or do you hate inclusivity, Eurogamer? These guys don't care about ethics. What are we talking about here? They're just scared because they think it's replacing them. They know that they don't have the talent or the worth to be able to hold on to their jobs, so they keep pushing this moral panic, hoping fear will do what their writing can't. Not like it's actually going to stop the success of this game. There were a lot of factors working against Embark and Arc Raiders outside of just rogue journalists. The first, and probably the biggest one, at least in my eyes, is that it's a live service game. Live service has been an obsession for a lot of these publishers, and they have...
And that's a problem. Like, look, I'm sure this is a good game. I'm so fucking over the live service model. I hate it. I want it to die. Doesn't mean you can't get some live service gyms in there that are good. Fair enough. Fine. Arc Raiders is a good example of that. But as a whole, this is a business model that has bred the destruction of gaming. It's one of the key factors. It is an oversaturated, awful business model.
Absolutely flooded us with new releases, new seasons, and endless promises. And as I've said before, man, do these guys really want this money? I mean, if you look back at 2024, Helldivers 2, Call of Duty, To Kill the Justice League, Path of Exile 2, Concord, X-Defiant, Foamstar, Skull and Bones, Marvel Rivals. I could keep going on for a long time. With so many of these games still running and so many other games that are fighting for the same slice of time, money, and attention, success has become nearly impossible, especially for new IP like Arc Raiders. I mean, more than half of the games that I just named are either dead or close to it. The few that are still alive, Path of Exile 2, Helldivers 2, and Marvel Rivals. Path of Exile, I'm not really going to include that in this conversation because of how seasonal that game is played, but the other two, they're barely holding on. Both those games have lost over 90% of their players since launch. Calling live service a bloodbath right now, I think, would be putting it lightly. And I think Embark knows that better than anyone. Their last project, The Finals, was a fantastic game. It hit 10 million players the first 2 weeks, but it just never caught on after that. Eventually, it just vanished from the charts entirely. Today, it averages at around 11,000 concurrent players on Steam, but I guess that didn't stop them from trying again. And man, did they ever try again. I think that Arc Raiders, top to bottom, might be the highest quality multiplayer shooter. Hell, maybe even the highest quality multiplayer game that I have played in recent memory. Strong words, I know, but man, this game is just so carefully crafted that you end up just getting completely lost in it. You don't even realize how all of these small details, all the mechanics and textures all come together to show just how soulful this game is. Arc Raiders, man, this game is alive, and it's alive in so many ways, from the gameplay to the environments to the player interactions, and I think it all starts with how this game actually feels to play. From the minute that I stepped into this game's world...
I'll give it credit, like, dude, okay, because I'm not trying to be a hater. I can only say so many times, I am glad for the game's success, and I'm glad that my friends are having fun playing this game. It's just not a game for me. But even objectively, I can watch this gameplay objectively, as somebody who knows this would not be a game I would play. I don't like these kinds of games. And it looks smooth as butter. Like, it looks like it controls and plays very well, which is a very nice change of pace, considering the broken, dead-on-arrival, busted games on release date that had become the norm in the gaming industry.
I was paralyzed. I caught myself just panning the camera around, taking everything in. It's like the Ghost of Tsushima of multiplayer games. The way the wind blows through the tree.
Notice how he says Ghost of Tsushima and not Ghost of Yote.
The dust kicks up, the lighting and shadows just breathe across the environment. Then you start moving and the controls feel so fluid, so natural that you just forget that you're even controlling the game. I was just stunned by this game the entire time. It's just so stunning to look at. You can't help but just stop and absorb everything that's in front of you. And personally, I'm really in love with the style here. This 70s sci-fi aesthetic, this is what Concord tried to pull off, but absolutely failed to. Now, once the visuals and controls finally settled in for me, the next thing that floored me, this probably floored a lot of other players, is this game's sound design. It is ridiculous how good this is. You can hear literally everything. The texture of the ground under your feet, the echo of your steps off of walls.
You know, it's kind of amazing, because I've been a big, like, anti-Unreal Engine 5 kind of dude, and I know there's been great games that have been made with Unreal Engine 5, but 9 times out of 10, you get generic slop. This is a game that shows that you can actually put, you know, some originality into Unreal Engine 5.
The splashes of puddles, the crunch of sand, the metallic clang of you climbing up a ladder, even how sound will scatter through tunnels and alleys. It's constantly messing with your sense of space. Half the time you can't tell if that noise is from you or from someone else, so you got to stop and listen. I am convinced that this game's sound design is the secret sauce here. Extraction shooters are naturally tense. It's you versus the world. Every single raid is carrying the risk of you losing hours of progress to one single mistake. So situational awareness becomes survival in these games. You're always listening for arc enemies, for the whine of an extraction elevator, for footsteps that are closing in. Games like this demand your attention, but Arc Raiders, man, does it reward it. The sound design here doesn't just help you, it traps you in this game. Every echo, every crunch, every whisper of movement just pulls you in deeper.
Exactly.
And once you're in, man, this game is...
I can appreciate this game while knowing I wouldn't have fun with it. That's exactly where I'm at with it.
Hard to put down. I've always been a sucker for good loot. I've played looter shooters for years, but I've always wanted a little bit more edge, that player versus player risk that makes every single decision feel like a gamble. I love the idea of spawning into a world with nothing, scraping together whatever you can find, feeling that little rush when you find something rare, and knowing that you could lose it all at any given moment. Fighting off enemies, taking down bosses with your friends, pushing your luck for just one more run. It is that perfect mix of greed and survival. And Arc Raiders, man, these guys really nailed the balance here. It's an extraction shooter at its core. You want to find great stuff, keep it, get out alive, and not lose it to somebody else.
Oh, did I not see Marty? What up, Marty?
That alone is going to create a lot of tension, but these guys layer it so perfectly. The Arc themselves, regardless of size, are a constant threat. A single popper exploding near you can leave you one shot from death. A Rocketeer camping an extraction point, well, that's going to stop you and make you plan your approach, knowing that one wrong move could just light up the entire area. And because the sound design of this game is so sharp, the last thing that you want to do is pull the trigger unless you have to, because one gunshot will give away your position to every player in earshot. Now, what I find wild here is how that tension bleeds into how people are actually playing this game. The sound design is so sharp, the world feels so real.
How are people playing this game? Well, going off how Hypno and Trace are playing it, like dicks. To be fair, I've heard it's actually got a very nice, good, welcoming community and shit like that. Alright, fair enough, whatever. People be playing this game like dicks, and I'm here for it. I love when people are assholes in online games. Yeah, I've seen some assholes in World of Warcraft. I've seen some assholes in RuneScape back in the day. Assholes in Overwatch. Like, by all means, online games should have assholes.
That you start reacting like you're actually there. You flinch, you freeze, you listen. You start to realize then that there's a lot of other people that are doing the exact same thing. And as crazy as this might sound, I think that that sound design and that tension and that constant awareness is exactly what's given Arc Raiders its biggest strength and arguably what's been driving a lot of its virality.
Assholes.
And that's this game's community and how social this game is. Most players wouldn't normally bother throwing out a headset when they go to play a game, but in this game, you kind of have to. Between the stakes of every single match and the way the sound design practically just demands your attention, there's no way that you're not tuned in to this world, to the people that are in it, and most importantly, into proximity chat. Even when you're playing solo, something happens, you start talking. You realize you're in a bad spot. Hopefully the other guy doesn't realize you're in a bad spot. You're going to try to talk your way out of it. You parlay for loot. You meet somebody who knows about a shortcut or a hidden stash. Maybe you guys are on the same quest, and suddenly two complete strangers are working together in a world that is trying to kill them both. The Ark are still out there. Other players are still out there waiting to ambush you, but for a few minutes, there's trust, a fragile, temporary kind of trust that's built on mutual survival, and I just find it so damn cool about this game. Something I discovered and I find so fascinating is the contrast between PvE and PvP and how it's actually driving cooperation, especially in solo play. The Ark are so dangerous, so overwhelming at times that they actually motivate solo players to just team up whenever they can. But there's always that lingering threat, that air of betrayal, the possibility that the guy next to you.
And that's how the real world would be. Let's be real, dude. Let's talk about this from a single player perspective, right? We've all played Fallout. We all love Fallout. How many NPCs you talk to in Fallout and you're like, yo, this motherfucker wants to hire me for a job, but after the job's done, are they going to kill me and take the caps back? Because that's the way the Wasteland works, right? It's every man for himself. To be able to make a game that so seamlessly weaves that level of Mad Max, the future is fucked, every man for himself, apocalyptic, mentality into its actual gameplay. Again, I cannot understate how impressive that is as an observer from the outside.
You could just turn.
I can give it all this praise and glaze and still say, this is not fucking game of the year. It's not fucking game of the year.
On you at any given moment. It fits perfectly into this game's world. You're not some character just running around doing missions for loot. You're one of the last remnants of humanity, scraping by to survive, doing whatever it takes to stay alive. You can see every kind of player in this world, and that is just so cool to me. There's the PvP hunters, the clueless looters, the opportunists, the friendly scavengers, those that are trying to make friends, the ones that never will, and somehow it all just works. To the irony of that Eurogamer article, this game just feels so deeply human to me. There's been this...
Yellow Bear, it's not, and I'll explain why it's not when we're done with the video.
Disconnect in modern multiplayer. A lot of you guys have probably already noticed this, but a lot of these games have quietly trained us to play alone, even when we're surrounded by other people. Private voice chats, solo-friendly systems, all these different attempts to make games more accessible or inclusive, yet somehow making us more isolated. We don't talk to each other anymore. We queue, we mute, we play, we leave, but Arc Raiders, they flipped that entirely. It gives you a reason to talk, to trust, to negotiate, to trick, to connive. It reminds you that games used to be so...
It's like playing Magic the Gathering Commander. For those of you that know anything about Magic the Gathering, you're going to have to bear with me. This will be a super simple and quick explanation. For those of you that play Magic the Gathering, typically one-on-one game, right? It's you versus your opponent. You're playing your cards. Commander is a 4-player free-for-all of sorts, and it encourages politics amongst your table. Hey, yo, if you don't attack me, I won't attack you. Hey, why don't we team together and take him out because he's got the biggest threat in his deck. It encourages, and then you can betray a motherfucker. Like, you can be like, all right, let's attack him. We'll work together, we'll attack him. Just so you know, we're both be swinging at you. Then it gets to your turn. Ha! Psych, bitch! And you turn, you attack the other dude because they expended all their resources thinking you were on a team. Like, this is literally, it's like Commander. The thing is, as great and as fun as Commander is, that is not real Magic. It is not the definitive way to play Magic the Gathering. It is it is an alternative. It is a very fun party-style alternative to traditional, direct, competitive 1v1 optimized Magic the Gathering. So that is why this game, to me, like, it is not Game of the Year. It shouldn't be Game of the Year because it can do a bunch of things right, but it's not actually the game that's great. It's the interactions you're having with the people that are making it great. It doesn't stand on its own. It doesn't work on its own.
By nature. Here, every single match feels so unpredictable and personal. It's its own little adventure shaped by whoever you meet and whatever choices you're going to make along the way. And none of this stuff is scripted. And that is just so crazy to me. It's all just born out of the game's design, its atmosphere, and the way it traps you in its world long enough to think about the other players that you're sharing it with.
I literally just explained it, Yokai. I apologize if you're not mentally capable of understanding such a highbrow explanation.
I am so twisted over that review. I almost made an entire video just on that subject alone because I think it's seriously messed up that you can have a game that is this well loved and this well recognized and have somebody come out of the wings and drop that review score from a 94 to an 88 overnight just because they disagree with the tool that was used. A tool, by the way, that they had paid voice actors that agreed to train a text-to-speech model that they have in-house. It's just, and also, you know what it really is? They're mad because the game is popular. They're mad that people actually like it and that people are supporting it, regardless of the fact that there was any type of AI that was used, regardless of the fact that most games have used AI since their induction. There's all kinds of...
Exactly. Fucking enemy NPC combatants that learn your patterns and whatnot and adjust themselves on the fly to fight against you to give the game more challenge is a form of AI. These people are so fucking retarded. AI in game design has been a thing for ages now. They're only upset spaghetti about it because the media is making a big deal of AI because they think it's going to, again, cost them their jobs or they think it's immoral or whatever. They didn't learn about this until a few fucking days ago, and now they're morally outraged by a thing that's been around forever.
Different models and different tools that these guys have used over the years, but this is something that you could have talked about in an editorial, like a lot of other writers did, but they chose not to, and I just find that incredibly unprofessional. I saw a lot of people that were going and pointing out that the same writer had scored Concord higher. The funny thing is, the same writer scored the finals higher. They scored the finals a 3 out of 5, and they criticized it for the exact same thing, but apparently their criticisms didn't work last time, so they came back and doubled down this time, or at least that's the way.
So the exact criticism got one game a 3 out of 5, but this one a 2 out of 5? Explain to me how this game, which by all accounts is beloved by the masses, it doing the same thing as a game that fell off that nobody fucking remembers, is worse?
It looks like to me. It's just so gross. Arc Raiders, this game, I think, embarrasses a lot of other games just by contrast. This is a live service game. This is live service the way that it's supposed to be. A game that actually feels alive. This is not me playing the same game, doing the same things, completing this checklist of tasks that you have given me to keep me on a hamster wheel that you designed to drain me of my time and money. No.
Bingo, bango, bongo. And that is why I'm anti-live service and find live service to be like the death of gaming in general. Because what he just explained is 90% of the live service slap shovelware. Arc very well might be the exception to the rule, and there might be a few other exceptions to the rule, but by and large, the exhaustive hamster wheel that he just explained is the problem with 90% of live service gaming.
I can do whatever I want in this game. I can play this game however I want to. I can create my own quests or my own objectives, and everything that I earn in the game is just a byproduct of me enjoying myself and having fun playing with other players. I don't really think you find an experience like this anywhere else. The wide variety of experiences that you can have in this game. That's the thing that just blows my mind. Because there's some games where I am bloodthirsty and people absolutely hate me. There are other times where I'm an absolute coward. I don't want to have anything to do with other players. And there's other times where I am a complete saint. You know, the other night I was playing and I heard a guy in the hallway that was looting something, and I slid across the hallway with a Torrente, and that gun is so loud in hallways. And I scared the shit out of this dude. He yelps out, saying that he almost fell out of his seat. We start joking around. I res him. I give him a blueprint. I help him on a quest that he was on. You just don't find an experience like that anywhere else. It's just so cool. And those are those...
And to be fair, we used to have experiences like that in other games. I've had experiences of, like, being the newbie that was helped out in RuneScape. Or I've had experiences being the one that was doing the helping in World of Warcraft or whatnot. There's this one time, I sort of got... Now, maybe they were just making this story up. It's the internet. Who knows? But there was this person that was very obviously trying and failing. I don't remember what they were trying to do, but they were failing hard at something they were doing in WoW. So I gave them some gold and some items and whatnot, started talking to them. And it was an older lady. She was like, she was probably a grandparent age. Said that she only recently started playing the game because her son died and it was her favorite game. And she wanted to get into it as like a way of like honoring his memory or whatnot. So, you know, I played a few games with her, gave her some tips, gave her some advice, gave her some items, whatnot. And she was great and she was super thankful. And she went about her way. And it was awesome. Like, moments like that in gaming are so few and far between nowadays. I'm glad people are getting experiences like that from this game.
You know, once in a game, once in a lifetime.
I had that same experience, Dax, that exact same experience.
That kind of sociability just doesn't exist in a lot of other games. You know, the crazy part is is that none of this is by accident. This game wasn't made fun just because the players made it that way. No, it's because Embark made it that way. If it wasn't this stable or optimized, if they didn't give players the freedom, the space
by
to
and
be able to
large,
play
I
the
agree,
game
Hugo.
instead of control them, then this game would have never worked. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I'm sorry, I am still stuck on how high quality of a game this is. This is a quadruple A production in my eyes. Sorry, Ubisoft. If you just sit down and look at all the small details.
Okay, well, I'm going to push back on that. This is not a quadruple A production. There is no such thing. There is no such thing as quadruple A gaming. At least not yet. I don't know if there even ever will be.
You see how every single piece adds up to set the stage for players. Nearly every single weapon in this game is just a mangled collection of scavenged parts that are barely holding themselves together. Seeds have become a rare currency because people live underground. Anything that is energy-based is built from the remains of Ark because, well, humanity has no infrastructure left. There is just so much...
No, he wasn't being sarcastic. He said, sorry, Ubisoft. The Ubisoft part, sure, maybe that was... He was throwing shade at Ubisoft. He was being 100% genuine when he said this is a quadruple A game in his opinion. And I'm saying, no, it's not.
Painstaking detail here that you can feel how much effort went into its creation, and it shows in every inch of this game. By contrast, look at almost any other live service game, and you can see how factory stamped, repetitive, and creatively hollow the space has become. There's almost nothing new anymore. The biggest successes that we see are usually reskins or reheated versions of older games. This kind of master-crafted design is something that we barely see maybe once or twice a year from indies, but almost never from multiplayer. I think that Arc Raiders has completely exposed just how little effort and attention to detail most of the industry is putting in, and how little they value your time and money. Something that I think proves this is Unreal Engine 5. This engine has been a curse for this industry. Sure, the script...
Okay, good. He's getting into it. As I was saying earlier, Unreal Engine 5, 9 out of 10 fucking sucks, but put it in the hands of capable developers that aren't generic pieces of shit, lo and behold, maybe it ain't so bad.
Screenshots look incredible, but man, in motion, it has been an absolute disaster. Artifacting, stuttering, broken performance, you name it. It's had just about every issue out there. I mean, Black Myth Wukong, as much as I love that game, it was a nightmare to run. It's literally become a benchmark game because of how insane the system requirements are. For years, we have been told that Unreal Engine 5 itself is the problem, that it's too demanding, too unstable, but then Arc Raiders comes along, built on the same foundation, and runs beautifully even on lower-end rigs. Now, not long ago, Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic, said that Unreal Engine 5 isn't the issue. And a lot of people, I think, just kind of brushed him off because obviously it's his engine. He's not going to dog it or talk shit about it. But he had said that developers just aren't optimizing their games or doing proper QA before release. And here comes Embark.
Honestly, he's probably right. I remember that we talked about that on SNH. I don't really remember what the concept, the whole conversation was around it because, we talked about so much. But yeah, I'm not defending Unreal Engine 5. I still have massive annoyances and issues with it because I think it breeds laziness in the industry. I want to see original from the ground up engines. Like, say what you will about the Resident Evil remakes. You know that I'm not a fan of them whatsoever. But their RE engine, the Reach for the Moon engine, is great. They use it for Devil May Cry 5. It's awesome. They use it for the Resident Evil games. The Resident Evil remakes may suck, but it's a great engine. It has some issues with open world, like with Monster Hunter, but whatever. Again, Sega. Sega has specifically built their own engine, the Hedgehog engine, for Sonic games. And you know what? It works brilliantly. It works beautifully. Quality of Sonic games themselves not aside, the engine is a good engine. I don't like that Unreal Engine 5 is cannibalizing the idea of homegrown, original built engines.
Proving him right. Sure, they're using their own custom branch without Lumen or Nanite, but guys, that's called optimization. That's picking the right tools for your audience. Running Unreal Engine 5 with every single switch flipped on is not innovation. That's laziness in my eyes. You could handcraft your lighting, or you could just get Lumen to do it for you. You could manage your own textures, or you could just dump everything into Nanite and hope for the best. This is what it looks like when you put real effort in. This is what you do when you're actually thinking about your players. This is what it means to meet your players where they are. When you actually care about your audience, you're going to torture yourself over the details. You're going to obsess over performance, over accessibility, how it feels on every single piece of hardware that somebody might play it on. And that obsession has bled through every inch of Arc Raiders, and it even fixed all of the issues that we've had with Unreal Engine 5. You can feel it in the design of this game. You can feel it in the way that it performs. And I think that you can feel it in how it captures the widest audience possible without sacrificing any of its depth. Now, I've always held the stance that extraction shooters are not the future of live service. They're not the next big thing after Battle Royale. It's just not going to happen, okay? There's just way too much built-in resistance for casual players, and you need casual players if you want your game to be anything more than niche. In these games, you can lose everything. A bad night, a few bad runs, you could erase hours or even weeks of progress. For anybody that can only play 1 or 2 nights a week, that's done. It's brutal. You're not going to be able to come back from it. Ultimately, it's going to stop a lot of people from even playing a lot of these games. Look at Escape from Tarkov. It has been successful, sure, but its player base is tiny in comparison to a lot of these other live service games. The only way that you're going to be able to close that gap is by removing resistance and making it easier, safer, and more accessible. And I think that completely undermines what makes a lot of these games work. You need that risk. You need to be able to lose everything sometimes.
They're great, but
the rarity, the tension, the possibility of being ambushed. All these things are ingredients that make extraction shooters so rewarding. Remove any of that, and you're just going to remove the soul of the genre. Now, I've said that publicly for the last 2 years, but I also said that if any game could bridge that gap, it would be Arc Raiders, because I actually played the game in a couple of play tests, and turns out I was right. They have made so many smart quality of life changes that respect players' time without compromising the experience, and they did it all by just giving players more agency. This game is just so well designed. Just as an example, having an in-game map as detailed as it is in Arc Raiders means that players can instantly orient themselves. They can see where the loot tiers are. They can know exactly where they need to go to get things that they're looking for. They can find safer paths, or they can avoid hotspots if they're just trying to complete quests. And those quests that they're on aren't filler. They're actually a subtle tutorial. Every single NPC is sending you into a different zone, pushing you across that map until you start recognizing landmarks and routes of your own. By the time that you're done with all these quests, you don't even need the map anymore. You just know where you are and know where everything is. Then they took it all further with how they did matchmaking and map events and how all of that is structured. Day raids, night raids, solos, squad queues, all of these things feel so distinct. Solo runs are just perfect for gearing up. Night raids are absolute chaos. The boss encounters, these things are wild. Sometimes it's groups of people that are working together to try to take one down. Other times it's betrayal the second that boss drops. It's so crazy to me how these guys pulled it off. But even the loot in Arc Raiders somehow strikes the perfect balance. It's both inconsequential, yet incredibly valuable at the same time. Rare weapons, blueprints, and parts are hard to find. You definitely want them, but I've never really felt outmatched if I didn't have access to them. The balance here is damn near perfect. Yeah, the Anvil and the Venator are absolutely busted, but I've won and lost plenty of fights with completely different loadouts, no matter...
That's a very good, like, so many games. This is a single-player issue. This is a live service issue. This is a multiplayer issue. Once you get to such high a level or high a tier, loot drops and everything is so inconsequential. Like, if this is actually able to keep the loot aspect refreshing and viable, that will take it a very long way. Because inconsequential loot drops, like, that's just a problem in gaming in general. It's like it's like a bad DM not knowing how to scale when to give out magical items and shit.
What someone else is using, personal skill and opportunity are going to decide the gunfight more than gear ever will. You want the best stuff, sure, but I really don't think you need it. Then they top this all off with their take on Tarkov scav runs, the free loadouts, and I just think this is absolutely genius. There's no cooldown, no limitation. You just hop in with a small inventory, some meds, and a low-tier gun. It is the perfect pressure valve for this genre. You can use it to rebuild after a bad night, sell off your haul and restock, and then play with your friends later, or you can just jump in and have some fun without sweating over your losses. This is just so perfect for casual players and for hardcore players just the same. This is what I mean when I say that developers need to share the perspective of the players and know that there's going to be a wide variety of people that are going to play these games differently. Arc Raiders feels like it was made by people who care about how the game actually plays rather than how much the game can take from you. Every single system feels honest. Every detail feels considered.
Well, I mean, he says that, but I've looked at the fucking prices of the cosmetics in this game. Now, to be fair, it is all cosmetics. I will give it props for that. All the fucking money dumping you would do into this game is cosmetic. But the cosmetics themselves, way too expensive and way too limiting.
It strikes this impossible balance between fun and fairness in a genre that is supposed to be unfair. You can tell that this game was made by people who wanted to make something fun without forgetting what kind of game that they were making. And of course, all of this is going to extend to how this game was monetized. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but the monetization in Arc Raiders doesn't really feel like it's a part of the experience at all. It's there, but it's not really breathing down your neck. The gameplay loops do not revolve around it. I'm not constantly getting pop-ups mid-match telling me to go buy something, and I'm not being constantly reminded of where my battle pass progression is. It's the first live service game where the economy feels like it's entirely separate from the gameplay. They made the monetization a feature of the game, not the foundation it's built on. And man, do I...
Yeah, but if it's a feature, but it's a bad feature, again, it's still pretty inexcusable. Like, all these visuals, the outfits, the looks, they're generic. Again, they're expensive. I get it. You need to make your money some way, especially if it's only a $40 price point game, which is good. I'm not knocking it. But I would still say the monetization here is a negative because of what you're getting for your money. Or what you're not getting, I should say.
Appreciate that. On launch, the game shipped with a free premium raider deck. Basically, this is their take on a battle pass. You can earn everything just by playing, and the premium currency that you collect can be used to be able to buy cosmetic bundles. They've already said that they're going to release new premium raider decks down the road and more ways to earn in-game currency similar to Helldivers 2 with their war bonds. But again, all this is optional. The more you play, the more you're going to earn, and if you don't have time, you can still buy in without feeling punished for skipping a week because it's always going to be there. It's a system that's built on fairness, not on FOMO. And I think that's what makes this model so powerful. It rewards consistency without demanding loyalty. It respects players' time without treating us like we're just clocking in. You can feel that honesty running through all of the rest of Arc Raiders. The idea that...
Hani says they cut the prices of cosmetics in half and partially refunded those who bought the skins at full price. I hadn't heard that. If that's true, interesting. That if they're changing the monetization on the cosmetics and stuff, then good. That's a W.
Players should be rewarded for playing the game, not paying extra to be able to avoid it. And honestly, that's what blows my mind with Arc Raiders. It proves that live service does not have to mean manipulation. It doesn't have to mean burnout or endless
even
chores
if it was after backlash. Even if it was after backlash, I still appreciate a company sitting there and being like, you know, we fucked up. We're gonna do the right thing. They even like the Sonic movie because again, all roads lead back to Sonic on this channel. Think about the Sonic movie. Imagine if after they released ugly fucking Sonic and then we did the outcry and they went back and fixed it. People were like, no, we're still not going to see the movie. You should have done ugly Sonic to begin with. I don't think that's fair. I think giving people a chance to redeem themselves and fix, you know, problems and whatnot is always a W.
Content. It just takes a studio willing to meet players halfway, to respect their time, their hardware, and their intelligence. Embark did everything that the industry keeps saying is impossible. They made a fair, balanced, social, live service game that doesn't treat you like a target. And I think that's what makes this game matter so much to me. It's not because it's some miracle hit, but it just exposes how lazy and cynical the rest of this space has become. Every single excuse from performance to monetization to player retention, all that dies the second that you boot up this game. This is proof that it can be done right, and now players know the difference. I am so happy to see more developers adopting the Helldivers 2 pricing and Battle Pass, the permanent Battle Pass. Now, I realize that there's a lot of conflicting opinions when it comes to a live service game charging $40. I understand where you're coming from, but from my perspective, as long as it's being done with the right intentions, this takes a lot of weight off of their...
Look, no, I'm all right with it. I am. Like, if you want to charge $40, then go for it. The game got to make money. And especially if all of your additional stuff, your in-game, your skins, your cosmetics, if that's all they are, if you're selling that stuff as cosmetics and it's not a basically pay-to-win game, yeah, you just bought a $40 out-the-gate playable game that you were able to succeed in without spending additional money. Like, that is fine by me. If the game is dog shit and you cost $40 and there's still a pay-to-win aspect, that's a problem. Now, there still needs to be fair pricing within the cosmetic stuff itself. You shouldn't be gouging people. But yes, I do feel like a $40 live service game that is not pay-to-win is fine.
Shoulders, it means that they can collect their development costs, and it makes them a lot less desperate for our money, at least immediately, and also likely down the road. It gives them way more options for how they monetize the game going into the future. They could choose to expand these crazy things that we used to get back in the day in first-person shooters called expansions. You guys remember that? Map packs and things of that nature? They could do that kind of thing later on if they wanted to, instead of just trying to monetize, pay for power, all these other different things. And they made the monetization in this game a feature, not the focus, and that's something that I appreciate. And also, battle passes should just be permanent. We all know exactly what you guys are trying to do by not making it. You just want to make sure people are logging in every single day. It's sunk cost fallacy. I spent $25 on something. I need to get all my value out of it. I got to play every single day, otherwise it's going to go away. I get why you do it. I hate that you do it. This is the way it should be done. Simple as that. I think that there's a lot to say when it comes to how social this game is. And I think this is something that a lot of other developers really need to pay attention to right now. And I see a lot of parallels in this game's success to Helldivers 2. And I think that there is a genuine desire from players and just from gaming communities overall to feel like you're actually a part of a community, to be social with other players. People want more games that put them in social situations. I think that's the case. I think we've been withdrawn for so long that people crave it right now. And that genuine desire is going to make a lot of games really successful if those games pander to that. So if you look at this game and look at how they gave players the opportunity to be able to interact with one another, if you emulate that somehow, you're going to find success. I think it's really disappointing that this game is just going to get dragged into the whole AI debate more than anything else.
I don't think it is. I don't think this game's getting dragged into the AI debate. I think that nearly everybody who saw that Eurogamer article thought it was fucking ridiculous. Trashed it. I've not seen a single person take a look at that article and treat it with any grain of salt, or, oh, they have a point, or take it seriously, or anything like that. So no, I think this game stands on its own. Again, even for somebody like me who doesn't like these sorts of games, who won't be playing this game, who can appreciate it from a distance while my friends play it, like, that speaks volumes. That says a lot. The AI controversy will be a blip on the radar. In fact, might even be a benefit to this game, because people will want to rebel so much against these mainstream gaming journalists and be like, you know what? Just because you didn't like it, I'm going to like it even more now. And I think that's good enough. Because
there's so many social benefits for a game like this. This game is just so fair and freeing for anybody of literally any skill level or how much time they actually have to be able to commit to something like this. I think this is the blueprint for live service games going forward. Not only just with its quality, but just every aspect of the game. The attention to detail. Everything.
Yes, I do, Tebow.
It's crazy to see a game that's actually made in the live service space, in the multiplayer space, by people that genuinely give a shit. I think this one is going to be a wake-up call for players more than the industry. I think a lot of these multiplayer gamers are going to be like, man, dude, how are you going to go and play Call of Duty after playing this game and not...
To be fair, I wouldn't have played Call of Duty with or without this game.
I feel like you're being ripped off. That's my question for a lot of people, because I wouldn't be able to. I'd be like, man, this is what you're selling me? And you're also charging me $70 for this game? Man, there's something wrong with this situation. And I think that contrast really hasn't existed in this space. It hasn't been in this space for a long time, because a lot of these live service games, I don't think they've really been competing with one another. They've just been doing their best to try to nail down the audience that they have financially more than anything else. And a game like this can really disrupt that. A game like this can make the casual people, the silent audience that's out there, not so silent anymore. At least that's what I hope happens. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to...
Yeah, this is a great video. I'll link it in the chat, and then I'm going to explain why I do not think this game deserves Game of the Year. But yeah, there's the video. So real quick, we're going to hop on over to X, and I'm going to explain why this game should not be Game of the Year. I made it very clear and apparent. Man, what are you doing? Why my color's blue? My color's supposed to be green. Hold on a second. This gotta be shit. Bring up privacy. Where is it? There we go. There we go. Okay. Now, back to what I was saying. Bitch. Okay. Right here. Multiplayer games are better than single-player games, especially Arc Raiders. Announced the game as Game of the Year already. This is from Arc Raiders Alerts. Obviously, this is a very biased, pro Arc Raiders account. So I say, here's the dealio. Multiplayer games will never be better than single player, as they most often don't prioritize a long-lasting sensation of a piece of art that you can appreciate. They serve only to provide a short-term dopamine hit. You can have brilliant memories of multiplayer games, but those memories are based off the people you surround yourself with, not the game itself. Halo 2 would not have survived or had the reputation it has if it was multiplayer only. Same for the OG Borderlands, same with Smash Bros. Melee, the list goes on. Ocarina of Time, Resident Evil 2, Persona 5, Final Fantasy 7, Ratchet & Clank, Shadow of the Colossus. All these will go down or have already gone down in the annals of history because they exist as art on their own merits through storytelling and character rather than as simple mechanisms for potential shallow and necessary temporary camaraderie, which is what multiplayer games offer at their highest value. Ark may be a good game. It'll be replaced by the next one just like it. Nothing will replace something like Skyrim as culturally relevant now as it was when it first came out. And I stand by this. I stand by this. Here's the dealio, guys. I'm not anti-multiplayer games. In fact, I like a lot of multiplayer games. But they do not function as games that are a piece of art the same way single player games do. They don't. Alright? Again, the Halo trilogy, Halo 1, 2, and 3. If those games were multiplayer only, Halo would not have the reputation it has. In fact, by all accounts, the multiplayer in the modern Halo games they're good. Halo 5 has good multiplayer. Halo 6 launched is effectively only multiplayer. If multiplayer itself was enough to make a game, then people would love 5 and 6. But they don't. They're hated. Right? Multiplayer is fun and fine, and you got games that are co-ops. You got games that have co-op to them. Oh, sorry, yeah, not 4 and 5, not 5 and 6. My bad, 4 and 5. Anyway, multiplayer games are fine, right? Elden Ring has some multiplayer, but it's not a great focus because it's a great fucking game. Exactly. There are games that have multiplayer elements, co-op elements, things like that. And Halo always had, co-op, for example. Halo had co-op to it in its story. Co-op is different than multiplayer. When we say multiplayer in 2025, we're talking colloquially as things like live service games or games that function as you need to be online, you've got this party chat, the whole nine. Something like Split Fiction isn't multiplayer. Yes, you are two people playing it together. It is technically multiplayer by all accounts. But that's not what we mean when we say multiplayer. That is a co-op game. You are going through a distinct story offline with somebody else. I guess you do it online as well, but it's not like a lobby chat or anything like that. You're going through a distinct story with characters that if the game serves its function properly, you care about, a narrative that's fulfilling, and you're doing it. You're doing it with just you're appreciating the art of the game itself, not just the mechanics of look, it's multiplayer. So yeah, multiplayer games don't deserve Game of the Year. Multiplayer games will never be Game of the Year because they're just like I said in the post, they're quick dopamine hits. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them, but there's a reason that whoever called them junk food in the chat, someone just called them junk food. Yeah, Hugo. Multiplayer is junk food. Fun every now and again. Single player is steak for a healthy cow. Exactly. And that's just the reality of it. Look, Helldivers is great. But nobody's going to be talking about how in 10 to 20 years, Helldivers might be the exception of the rule. Arc Raiders might be the exception of the rule. If they're the exception of the rule. And if not, they were just another pocket in time of a game that you can't go back to. You can go back to Final Fantasy VII right now, the original on the PlayStation 1, and you can play that game and be like, God damn, this is amazing. You cannot do that with these online, server-based multiplayer games that are by and large dead in a year and a half. How do you play this fighting games, Leon? Not saying DB Fighter Z deserves the Game of the Year. So fighting games are a little bit different because fighting games are more often than not one-on-one. So you've got entire long-lived communities built around fighting games because there's an intimacy to fighting games being one-on-one, but also there is single-player aspects to it. You can be a huge Street Fighter fan. You could be a huge Street Fighter fan played 2, 3, 4, 5, the whole 9, right? All of them. And have never played against another person. You can appreciate Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or whatever purely on the basis of single player. If you cannot appreciate the game from a single player or narrative perspective, the game has failed. Because games, at the end of the day, are interactive storytelling devices.